All right. My next project that I'm working on my Klamath is installing this OMC auxiliary motor bracket or kicker bracket. So basically I've measured out the top of my outboard kicker hanger down to the bottom of the cavitation plate. For me that's 22.5-inch length, so a 20-inch shaft engine. I just have a straight bar coming off the bottom of the keel. You want to make sure that anti-ventilation or cavitation plate is at or near as close to the bottom of the boat as you can get it. That's how you're going to mount. And I have a very tricky mounting situation on this Klamath because the transom is down here. This is hollow space and I don't have any real access, so I'm going to have to build an access port on the top here. I went inside the floor and underneath the transom. I don't envy the day I got to take this transom out to replace it. I hope it lasts. The wood looks like it was really intact and well protected, which is the plus. Basically, when you're lining up your kicker bracket, you have that straight bar coming off the bottom to give you an indication of where your anti-cavitation plate's going to be. So I'm looking at, this is the motor bracket's in the downward position. So this is about where I'm looking at to mount it, and I don't think I have any choice. I was trying to avoid having to put bolts through the transom, and especially these are not flush, so I'm going to have to build some kind of adapter plate in here as well to get me where I need to be. And that's it. Nutshell, I'll go through the process, but I didn't find a lot of good videos. There's one video on there that shows it, but it's pretty quick and dirty. Just hits the basics. But I kind of wanted something a little bit more in depth. So these OMC brackets are pretty well known for their durability. They're out of production, but you can pick them up like I did off eBay. Pretty easy to lower and raise. There's just a gas piston in there, which I did disassemble because I could not break this down, which gives me hope. But the piston is still in good shape. At some point, if I have to rebuild that, there's some instructions on how to do that. But basically, flicking this red lever, slightly lift it up, going up or down. So it's caught in there. This bracket doesn't have a lot of travel length. So in its lowered position to its raised position, I'll measure that. But we'll start from there. And I basically, I'll show you. I had the Panther bracket that I was going to install that I had used on my old 6-horse Johnson. It's a little bit easier maneuverability, but Panther's not exactly very clear on what or why, but these brackets are not to be used on 4-strokes, and everybody's guess is that it's the vibration and the weight, and that combination of factors just throws the engine off without that safety cable, which you definitely want to have attached. I'm planning on drilling a through bolt onto my plate not to lose it, and to not ever trailer with your kicker motor on your outboard bracket. But these are very similar in design and concept. The OMC doesn't state whether it's recommended for 2 or 4-stroke, but I think they're rated up to 135 pounds. The rating on them is up to 15 horsepower. My 8-horse Honda 4-stroke weighs 83 pounds. So this bracket should be plenty enough to hold it. I like the wider parallelogram. And there's my Hawks again. Versus the single shaft of the Panther, but we'll see how it all works out. So I was able to take a sneak peek inside of the anchor light port just to let me know that I do have some space in there, that if I do drill an access port cover here. I know I hate drilling holes on a boat to let more water in, but this is pretty high. You can get away with a 4 or 6 inch access port to get my hands in order to tighten up the bolts. How dark it is inside, but I'll take you in. It's quite a job. I mean, I can get in here, I can see the foam, there's plates. Unfortunately, this plate is a lipped plate. I undid all the floor screws to try to get this back panel off. I can't budge it, and it's in there. It's been in there for 20 years. I'm sure it's a tight seal, but even looking behind the bracket, there's support bars in there. That foam is not going to come out that easy, and man, what a job to get in there to do that. So the engine itself, not bad. You have access to all the bolts. They're in the sump well or directly above the transom where they're coming through. But to mount a kicker, they are not. And then I have one plate on that side for my swim platform. That's on this side of the boat. But again, not terribly conducive for a full kicker setup. So, and then even here, there's no option to mount it on either side of the engine. I can't have the props hitting, and basically the shape of this V hull, you know, my outboard is going to be sitting pretty far to the outside. So in terms of pushing the boat, it'll be mounted, the kicker will be mounted, but it's probably going to be slightly, propeller wash might be slightly extending out, which I'm not excited about. I'm not excited about having the motor off so far to one side for weight and distribution and pushing, but it is a pretty lightweight aluminum boat, single axle, so it's not super heavy, 50 horse. I think I'm just going to have to, that's my only option. The only other thing I thought of is putting a bracket plate here and running a 25-inch shaft motor down, but I didn't really want that much motor sticking up above the deck, and I don't know if 25 inches is going to get me all the way down below once it's mounted, so it is something to consider. So yeah, just real quick to my original idea, if I were to buy a 25-inch shaft, and let's say I was even able to mount it right there at 25 inches, it would barely, the cavitation plate would barely make the bottom of the boat. So with a hung bracket, it's going to be up at least, my guess is 2 inches, putting the anti-cavitation plate just up too high, so I don't think that's going to work. Alright, just got to suck it up and do the difficult part. So, in building an access port in order to mount the kicker bracket, I basically want to cut the minimum size hole I need to get my hand and a wrench and maybe some parts through. So this ricotta is actually serving as a pretty good guide, and that's looking to be about 4 inches. So I'm going to cut a 4-inch hole, and I just want to be careful in cutting that hole, give myself enough access that it's not going to be anywhere near any troubled spot or location. So I'm just looking for something like that, pretty well centered, about 4 inches in diameter. And then we'll go ahead and cut it out. Yeah, I've pretty much found something exactly 4 inches in diameter. This old fuel canister will work pretty well. Just going to cut inside the diameter and be some kind of consistency. I'm looking to do it 2 inches from the back edge and 2 inches from the side edge. So for better or for worse, this will be my access port. There it is. So I want to drill the inner diameter of that circle. So got several bits that should be large enough to accommodate a jigsaw blade. And put my hole on the inside. Widen that out a little bit. I'll just zoom in, show you what that looks like. So I just have my excess hole started. Take my jigsaw, I'm going to cut on the inside of the circle. It should be enough for me to get my hand through. Pass some parts through and get some wrenches in there. Alright, I'm all set to go. I got my metal bit on my jigsaw. Safety glasses and ear protection. I'm going to do some tight circles until I get the pattern I want, and then go wider and cut just inside that circle for a 4-inch diameter. Alright, not my best work, but the hole is cut. A little bit smaller than 4, just about 4 inches. And we can probably double check that. Yeah, just about over 4. So my goal is, I think there's an 8-inch like vault deck kit you can get. So there's a deck plate. There's a deck plate that'll seat in here, actually, just like this. So basically, there's a deck plate kit. I just figured it's probably a good. I'll make use of it. I'll just put like boat plugs in there, you know, a couple extra easy things. So make use of the space in the hole. And for now, just keep it as the access point, so you can see the foam in there, bolts for the stern tie down, some electrical, and there's the top of my transom right there. There's a little bit of wood on the end, and it still looks like it's in great shape. So, alright, I think the hardest part is done. It's just committing to cutting the hole. Now I got to drill holes through the transom. I'm not excited about, but it has to be done. And I forgot the key piece being I can comfortably get my hand through there to do any of the work I need. That's probably a little more room than I need, but a 4-inch deck hatch is about the smallest they make. So I wanted to get by with the most minimum modification possible. So I'm happy with that. Well, I had intended to overkill it with the bolts, but I did measure before I left. And I was actually hoping I could use 1/2-inch bolts, just because I like to build things pretty bomb-proof. I had these, I think they're 5/16 from the original Panther kicker plate, but I don't want that much play, and I think it's looking like even a 7/16 bolt is close. It almost wants to go. So I'm guessing these are maybe, what, 3/8? Yeah. So I don't want to drill these holes out. They're nice. I mean, it's not a super great paint job. I could ream these holes out, but I don't want to do anything to reduce the integrity of the original design. So I'll go back and get some 3/8 bolts and okay. So I measured out where my anti-cavitation plate, ventilation plate, needs to be in regards to mounting that. So I just did a quick mark the corner, mark the center of one hole, and then just so I can be consistent, I'm just marking with my square down exactly 5 inches so I can make the same hole on the other side. I'm going to drill the first hole first and then kind of work backwards from everything from there. So I think I want to definitely make sure I just do it step by step to not mess anything up. Because now in the access port, drilling additional holes into the boat. Normally I would put a setter punch. pretty good. Let's just double check. So a little above it. That's fine. Being a little tiny lower is kind of what I wanted anyway. Okay, I got my 3/8 bit. I'm going to go ahead and drill out that first hole before I drill any others. And I also went ahead and got a piece of, what is this, 2-inch? Yeah, I think it's classified as 2-inch square aluminum angle that I have. I mean, this stuff is a 1/4 inch thick. I mean, it is beefy. And I notched out the one side for the angle. Let's see if it fits. It's 12 inches across. It's more than I need structurally, but I like to make things overkill. I don't have to worry about it. I don't think it's barely hanging on. Actually, that fits perfect. So my hope is that angle piece sits beautifully on top of the transom. So at least I have a nice supported, and I'm going to drill the hole right through it. And it's not in the way, but it just gives me that added protection and support back there. So I'm pretty happy that that fit so well in the first cut. Alright, I have my first 3/8 hole drilled. With the angle aluminum, it wasn't sitting quite flush on the transom where it gave me a good hole, so I actually snapped a center punch just to see where the bolt would come in, and it was too close to the edge, so I decided to add some starboard left over that I cut to match the base plate, repunched. The hole came out perfectly, so now I have my starting point. I'll 5200 that into place, or maybe even put some screws. I'll probably drill. I'll make this one piece. I'll drill some screws and put some stainless screws in there, but for now, just for the mock-up. Pieces together. So what I want to do this lined up. Want to get that hand tight. Just now I can get everything level and positioned correctly, and then keep it going. So I don't have any great way to steady this. Basically going to do something similar that I did on the other side. Make sure height-wise in the same position. Alright, before I drill the second hole, I know the boat's not level. If I can check where the bubble is on the bracket. Based on the boat, where I've got it marked, that's pretty close, almost exact. Right there. Yep, that's perfect. Second hole is drilled, pilot hole is punched. Just gave it a punch with the center punch. I'm pretty happy with that. I have the aluminum angle in there. I'm just gonna, I'll have a fine drill bit. Then we'll check everything. Not gonna pull it through, I'm just gonna start it. So I can mark it. I'll go ahead and pull it out. I'm basically drilling each hole one by one, just because I want the perfect, closest, exact fit for sealing and water leakage. Now I'm just going to step up the bits until I get to the 3/8. I prefer to step them up just so I don't dull tips so quickly. Oops, same size. And my largest. Yep. I think the two hardest holes are done. Without the back plate. Okay. I do like this mechanism though. Pretty slick. Raise, flick, push down, locks, lower, goes down. Alright, so my bottom piece of starboard mocked up, just so you can see it from the side. This top plate indents right here. Creates a gap. I had this piece of starboard left over from another RV project that I did. Yeah, I got 3 out of the 4 holes drilled so far. And I marked the 4th location, but I just want to take everything off. Better for sealing it. So I just have this 4th hole to drill, and these are going all the way through the transom. A slight angle. Alright, for better or for worse, 4 holes drilled through the transom. The bottom 2 are the only ones actually going through the wooden portion of the transom, and you can see by my water line, this looks like roughly the high water mark, so these are probably in and mostly underwater. My 4 mounting holes, these 2 are high up in the transom. Here's the top of the transom that's running inside for location proximity, so I'm nice depth wise and above the water line, so I'm feeling pretty happy about that. Okay, so I already have my 1 top hole mounted through my aluminum angle bar. Just looking at, so I'm going to try to get it as centered as I can. I'm just going to drill out the second hole, and I'm going to put just maybe 1 or 2 pilot holes through here to attach it to the starboard, just so this doesn't go missing and loose on me. Alright, I'm ready to reassemble everything. Get this mounted up, and then I'm going to select, I bought a resized 3/8 stainless to about a 5-inch length. I think the 4.5-inch might be the size. I might go a little shorter than that. So normally I wouldn't use anything other than 3M 5200. That is my go-to marine sealant. It always has been. The stuff's amazing. Cures underwater. You can apply it underwater. I couldn't find it. Amazon was out. Other vendors were out. My local hardware store was out. I know I can get it at Home Depot, but that's like a 3-hour round trip for me. So I'm going to attempt to try this goop sealant. Claims it's permanent bond, flexible, waterproof, marine adhesive. I do have a DAP marine silicone, but I just kind of wanted to go with the goop for the extreme flex sealant. So I'm going to be sealing up all the holes. Let me just check the working time. on this. 15 minutes. VOC, warning directions. Wait 2 minutes before mating surfaces. So I'm just going to go ahead and start getting this applied. Just going to watch it till it comes out. Okay, coming out the other side. Okay, that's sealed. Okay, let's get these. Okay, perfect. Coming out the other end. It's going to be a 3.5 inch stainless steel 3/8 bolt. And on the front side, I'm just basically going to use a flat 3/8 inch washer. And on the back side, I'm going to use both a lock washer and a nylon nut, just subject to a lot of vibration. I want to make sure that this stays on there. So wait 2 minutes before mating surfaces. I'm going to put a little bit more goop, circular pattern around each hole. I'm already oozing out this hole. And then I'm going to just add a little bit to my mounting plate. Clean edge. So I basically have sealant every orifice. Coming out the holes, so it's been close enough for 2 minutes. Truth, everything lines up. Start by installing 2 fender washers, stainless, 3/8. Lock washers next. I'm just feeling my way around in there. I can feel that silicone going everywhere. First nylon head, and with those 3.5 inch screws, I'm maybe going to have a 1/4 inch of thread sticking out. Some people might like more just for security factor, but I think it's going to be just fine. Okay. Support everything. These are 9/16 drive. basically want to get these started. Look on the top next. I bought extra stainless washers because I knew I was going to have a little bit of a gap here at the top. So I think I've got enough washers to put 3 per side. And that'll close that gap pretty nicely. The tricky part is getting 3 washers in there. Okay, not too bad. Alright, time to put the motor on and see how we did. Alright, that's 73. Oh yeah, we're down nice and deep. I have the ability, the way I mounted it, to go higher. One setting, but you want the prop down as low as you can get it. And I still have to straighten up due to the angle. I'll have to adjust that, but I'm happy with how low it is, securely mounted. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just curious to see how well this raises it. I wouldn't say effortless, but not hard either. Piston's in really good shape on that motor bracket. So if you have one of these, OMC brackets, there's a latch for raise and lower. It's pretty easy. You just flick it, the screen. You just lift up on the engine, pops out, allows it to ride down, and then it locks. So you can't pull it up. To raise it, just push down on the motor, unlatch it, pull it up till that locks again. And it's that simple. Alright, pretty happy with that. Wasn't that bad at all. Hardest part is putting holes in your boat.